Who says she accidentally used her gun instead of a taser in Minnesota has resigned. And tonight, many are asking how a 26-year veteran of the police department could have made such a mistake.
Here to talk about this is criminal justice instructor Mike Brown. Mike, I'm so glad you're here to talk about this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I mean, if it's a mistake, how does that happen, Mike?
Well, this is a tragedy, and it's something that should not have happened. Departments have to do a much better job of training officers under the influence of stress, and that's something that we don't see a lot here. You have to understand that Taser International, which used to be called Taser International, it's Axon International, they train officers, or they recommend that officers carry their tasers on their support side. There's two sides. You have a dominant side or a strong side. Most people are right-handed, and then you have a support side. Few people are left-handed. They tell you to, carry your holster taser on your support side. But the problem is that there isn't a recommendation as to which hand you will deploy it with. You often see officers deploying tasers with their strong hand, even from it being holstered on the support side. And therein brings a lot of confusion. I've trained people in the tasers. I've used tasers before as an instructor and end user. And the one thing that I find is that there is a difference from training stress versus real world stress. In training, you don't want to stress out the officers too much because you need them to work in the field. But in real stress, it's a fair game, and this is an unfortunate situation. He did not need to lose his life. And this should bring the conversation of departments training their officers to the standard that requires money, and that you eliminate politics from this. And that's hard to do.
Now, when you do your training, what do you emphasize about tasers and guns and, like you said, that kind of real world situation as opposed to the training?
Well, the thing is that I try the best that I can to have them get their heart rate up, run real fast, produce that stress-inducing, the physics of what occurs when your body goes through stress. And different officers have different body types, different physical fitness standards. Two officers may be in the same department, same uniform. They may perform differently under stress. So we have to try the best that we can to produce those same situations, produce the shock of the gunfire of the real trainee who's trying to actually fight you, trying to hurt you, and then try to have you critically think under that stress. That's not easy for people to do. And if you have not been there, you may not understand it.
Right. You mentioned that it sounds like they should know which side they carry the taser on, which side the gun will be on. But then would they feel different in your hands?
No, they wouldn't feel different. And see, some people may think that because, yes, a loaded firearm is heavier than a taser. But you have several versions of the taser. You have the air taser, the M26, X26, X3, X2. They all have different weights. And then the picture that you show here, she appears to have a Glock, typical standard pistol in most law enforcement agencies. So yes, when you're calm under your fine motor skills, it does feel heavier than the other. But under the influence of stress, and we don't know what kind of stress that she or the other officers were under, there isn't a study out there that shows that, an officer post-use of force incident has been asked, well, which one felt heavier. There have been studies in situations where women have tried to save their children, have done superhuman things under the influence of stress. And so that's hard to gauge in a training environment that's not real world.
Mike, when you saw the video, describe your initial reaction here. Was she at fault here?
I will say this, the video is tragic. I will say that the officer did exactly what she was trained to do. She said, taser, taser, taser. She gave the person the warning that she was going to tase. And right before she pressed the trigger, she said, taser, taser, taser. That is exactly what Axon International and taser instructors instruct officers to do. And then she pressed the trigger one time. That is consistent with taser training. You can only press that trigger one time to get the probes out. And that's why she did it one time and not multiple times, which is consistent with someone who is scared, who knows, in fact, they are using a firearm. I think that the department did not test her continuously. They only required they go through certification for a year. She fell into her training under stress. The department failed her. And as a result, a young man lost her life because of a situation that should not have been.
Yeah. Mike Brown, criminal justice instructor. I'm so glad you came here and gave us all a lot of knowledge tonight.
Thank you.